for some more. So the problem that we're going to be tackling today is the suspension. For some reason, okay, so there's a little bit of gap between the wheel and the fender, right? The rear and the quarter panel of the car. So I know that that wheel that I just showed you is not round anymore. I bent it, so I know that there's a little bit of a hop, especially at highway speeds or freeway speeds for you Americans. But the driver's side is starting to sag. I don't understand why yet, so I'm going to take off the wheels, pull out the suspension, well, take a look at the suspension and see how it sits, and probably take it out and replace, take it apart, take a look at it, and then I'll figure out what my next steps are. Maybe it's time for new coilovers. So expensive, but so needed. Alright, let's try this and see what happens. So like I was saying, the wheel is much closer to the fender than the other side. I don't mind it like that, but both sides should be like that, or both sides should be like the other way. So one way or another, it's got to change. So let's dive into this. You always want to support the car by a strong point, of course. So for me, right now, I'm using where the rear subframe mount is. That's where I'm going to let the car rest on. Okay, to the other side. Even though the car is supported, I still leave the jack. No pressure on it, because the stands are holding, but I like to leave it just for extra measure. Everything appears to be okay. I'll take apart the other side and take a look, see if there's any differences. I don't see anything wrong just by looking, so I'm going to take the suspension out, test it, maybe the shocks are done. Actually, you know what, I'm going to measure the threads and see if they match up on both sides. If not, then maybe it's just that simple. Fingers crossed. Everything looks to be okay. I think what I'm going to do is pull out the suspension because these rubber top hats, I guess you'd call them, I have replacements. So while I'm doing this, might as well replace that while I investigate everything else. Here goes. So first, I'm going to pull these, right? Then I'm going to pull the 4, and then the one bolt that holds this. And then everything should just come right out. Alright, so I've pulled this bolt. It was a 17 on one side and a 19 on the other side. The 4 nuts, or bolts, sorry, they are all 17s, and the lower is a 19 and an 18. So just in case you were wondering. Okay, time to pull the suspension completely out. And in a B5, that's what the suspension looks like. Usually it's much easier to pull out. I have a little bit of problems, but usually I can get it out easily. Well, fairly easily. Alright, let's try the other side. Okay, so this is what B5 looks like when the suspension is out. So now it's time to pull apart the suspension. So I've got to pull this bolt here. I believe it's a 19. Let the spring out, change the top hat, measure everything and put it back together. Let's see if it's as simple as I've just explained it. Okay, so now the other thing is, because I know I have a rough idea of how much load is on this, I'm not going to use a spring compressor to take it apart. To put it back together, I will, though. So if you're doing this, be careful. It's under a lot of pressure. Should have done this while it was in the car. On the car. Would have made it easier. Not that it was terribly hard, though. Okay, now it's going to pop because it's under pressure. Keep that in mind. So I'm going to angle it here so if it pops, it's got a little bit of room to travel. And there's the pop. If you're looking to do this yourself, there's the part number there, 8A0512297E. Seems as though they are interchangeable. There's not one for one specific side. So as you can see, it's a little rusted, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit, put a little bit of grease, slip the new one on, and yeah. A little bit of lube, slide it on. Lube makes it all better. This a lot because, well, it doesn't work very well. I need a new one. At some point I'll get a new one. The problem is I'd much rather spend the money on the car parts, not the tools. But I gotta change that. See what I mean? So I didn't tell you, the reason why the car is sagging, of course, is because the suspension is shot. The shock is finished. You compress it and it doesn't come back out. So it's going to take about 2 weeks to get new ones in, the ones that I want. So I put the car back together so I can put her around town. And yeah, if I need to go further on the highway or whatever, I guess I'm stealing the wife's car. Alright, so the car is back together, and now it's time to clean the tools, clean my hands, clean the tools, put them all away. I won't bore you with that, but thanks for watching, and I hope this was somewhat entertaining and somewhat informative. Hope you learned one thing. We should all strive to learn one new thing every day. So out of shape. With a bad gal,